Hello, everybody, and welcome to PESA Presents Iron Copper. Now, for its conductivity and various other properties, copper is one of the oldest metals to be worked by humankind, possibly the very oldest. It was being used anywhere from 8,000 to over 10,000 years ago, and today, across the entire world, it ranks third amongst metals in terms of mass usage. So, globally, uses in electrical technology account for about 60% of that, and mining can be a complex process. Now, what isn't complex is our friend the periodic table right here. So, where's copper in? Right there. Now, that is its atomic symbol, Cu. Its atomic number, or the number of protons, are 29. Now, electrons are found in what's called shells around an atom. Now, this indicates the number of electrons per shell. So, the first shell of copper has 2 electrons, the second has 8, the third shell has 18, and the last shell has 1 electron. Its atomic mass and weight are the same number, that being 63.546. And the word copper itself comes from the Old English coper, which in turn comes from the Latin cyprium es, which means a metal from Cyprus. Cyprus being a place where a lot of copper was mined back in the day, but really a lot of places had copper mined back in the day because copper's been found on every single continent, including Antarctica. Here's a still from some copper deposits over there. Now, of the identified copper yet to be mined, 65% of it is found in just 5 countries. There's Chile, Australia, Peru, Mexico, and the United States. And this right here is a still from one of them, a miner in a copper and a gold mine in Chile. So, some other physical properties. Obviously, when something is known as being very malleable, it doesn't have a high hardness. So, we're only looking at 2.5 to 3. Isometric crystal system. Here is its melting point in Celsius or Fahrenheit, depending on which system you follow. It's soluble with gold, specific gravity, and it has over 400 alloys in regular modern use. So, copper is famous for its conductivity. Its electrical conductivity is 59.6 times 10 to the 6, and its thermal conductivity is second highest only to silver. Here is a copper mine in Spain. Now, these obviously aren't copper beads, but this is just for illustrative purposes. Copper beads from 10,000 BCE have been found in Iraq, and it's currently recognized as the oldest metal used in lapidary. Now, pennies, they're only about 2.5% copper. I'm sorry, it's just the coating, folks. Most of it, 97.5%, is zinc. But don't feel bad for copper. It's been used in coins since 8000 BCE. Now, 7500 BCE, you had a lot of advances come up pretty much back to back right around southeast Anatolia. So you had alphabetical order, there was annealing, casting via the lost wax method, smelting, and free or cold working all became a thing. Now, 4000 to 5000 BCE, copper becomes the first metal to be smelted from sulfide ores and also the first to be cast into shape from a mold. Now, how this happened is sort of a scientific puzzle. Now, a lot of things in science have to be inferenced. And what we know is that campfires are 200 degrees short of the temperature needed to do this smelting. So, this smelting had to occur in some sort of specialized kiln. But really, I mean, it's kind of a chicken and the egg situation here. So we know then that at that time, people back then were thinking, well, in order to get to this step, in order to do this smelting, we need this type of kiln. So people trying to advance copper technology advanced other technologies along the way. Now, speaking of advances in technology, one of the greatest achievements really in pretty much anything in archaeology is the tomb of the first emperor of China, Shi Huangdi. These are some statues from there. They're the terracotta warriors, and also there's giant ones of horses as well. These are partially made out of bronze, and in 3500 BCE, other dates frequently given are 4000 and 3000 BCE, copper and tin alloyed together. There you go, results in bronze. Now, here is a stamp in tribute of the 10th anniversary of the rediscovery of Otzi, better known as the Iceman. Not the guy from the X-Men, but this is the guy that they found dead in the Alps, and the body was so fresh they thought he was a hiker, and they called the police at first. Now, he died about 3300 to 3200 BCE, and his axe head was 99.7% copper. So, this creation of bronze birthed so much technology in so many different civilizations. China, Egypt, Greece, India, lots of different places. And obviously, because every culture is different and unique, all these different advances were just that. They were different, but still, the Bronze Age raged globally from about 3300 to 1200 BCE and marked the time when humankind started to purposely work with metal. So, according to a commonly cited University of Arizona study, copper ore contains only about 1% copper. So, how do you get to the type of copper that you have to work with, what's known as pure copper or 99 plus percentage copper? Well, you need to do really advanced output in smelting. Now, just to use some examples here of how much smelting really changed the copper mining industry, I found this statistic. So in 1794, a Welsh mine went from smelting 560 tons of ore total in 40 weeks to 230 tons weekly, with just what was at that time considered the highest advancement in smelting that they could do. Now, today, copper ore is processed using hydrometallurgy via a multi step process involving heap leaching, solvent extraction, and then electrowinning. So, all of this work, all this advance in production, there has to be a downside, right? Well, in this case, it's the production of sulfur dioxide gas. Processing copper ore results in sulfur dioxide gas. So, a lot of these places where they process the ore, refineries, furnaces, they actually have traps that trap this gas, and then they process it and they use it in all sorts of things like, say, fertilizers and various other industrial uses. Here are our three most culturally significant metals in native form: copper, gold, and silver nuggets. Now, 2023 saw 22 million tons of copper mined. Now, in the United States, its primary domestic use was in building and construction at over 45%. So that involved things like, say, copper piping. But that category also saw some overlap in electrical products, which was 22%, so wire. Now, transportation equipment took 16%, consumer products 10%, and industrial machinery used up 7% of the copper in this country last year. Now, and potentially, well, I wouldn't say potentially, definitely, its most recognized use today: 31 tons of copper over 125 tons of steel at 305 gorgeous feet high. One of the most amazing things that our species has ever come up with. So, thank you very much, folks, and enjoy your day now. Bye.